Hello and welcome on Bienvenue chez Priss Web TV show. Our guest today is a former president of the Republic of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo. Actually, he was president twice. He is a well-known mediator in African crises, and he just wrote a book, Democracy Works. Let's meet Olusegun Obasanjo. Mr. President, thank you for coming to the interview. Bienvenue chez Priss.
It's always a pleasure.
Before to start the interview, I want to come back on a recent anecdotic story regarding this book, Democracy Works, confiscated in March in the Harare airport. Is it a dangerous book?
It's not a dangerous book. It's actually a book that should be embraced by all practitioners of democracy, by all lovers of democracy, because all we are saying in the book is that in Africa, in fact, this book is a part 2 of a book we launched 2 years ago, which we call Making Africa Work. Now, Making Africa Work is all about economic development and progress of Africa. And we came to the conclusion that the economy will not move as we want it to move unless politics moves the right way.
Exactly.
Governance. So we then came up to the conclusion that yes, democracy is the form of government that can drive economic development and progress in Africa.
So could you please describe the politics and governance side of the book?
The politics and governance side of the book is to say that all the problems we have of economic and social in Africa, for instance, take demography. Since independence in 1960, all African countries except one have increased their population by a factor of 5. Nigeria was 45 million, we are 200 million today. By the year 2050, we will have all increased our population by a factor of 10.
Yeah, the population will increase the number from 1.2 billion to over 2.5
over 200
billion by
billion.
2050. Exactly.
By 2050. Now, what can we do?
Yeah, because Africa faces demographic challenges.
Yeah, to make sure that we have education for this teeming population. We have skill for them. We have empowerment for them. We have job for them. We have houses for them. More than 60% of them will be living in cities.
So what is the solution?
Now, what are we going to do with those cities? For those cities to have sanitation, to have houses, to have jobs. Now, there is no way except our political leaders and government leaders do the right thing now. And it is this book, Democracy Works, is to say, yes, the demography, for instance, should not be a liability, it should be an asset. But it will not be an asset, it will be a disaster if we do not do what we should do now. Education, empowerment, skill acquisition, science and technology, innovation, agribusiness, manufacturing, hospitality, all these, and we can get them done.
So do you think that alternance is important to respect democracy?
What?
Alternance, because you choose this political system, democracy, but there is a lot of African countries in crisis, like look at Libya, Sudan.
Yes. Now, but the point is, that's what, even my own country, Nigeria, we are not where we should be. There's no country in Africa today, as far as security is concerned, that is where it should be. Everywhere. Now, then there is also the issue of economy. There's no country in Africa today that is where it should be as far as economic development and progress is concerned. And that is exactly what we are saying.
So this is a solution.
You will not have fund, you will not have domestic investment, not to talk of foreign investment, if you do not create the confidence and the trust, the stability in your country. And you will not create the confidence, trust, and stability unless you practice democracy.
But what is the definition of democracy for you? What does that mean?
Democracy means that you have participation, all-inclusive participation in all aspects of your national life, in the economic aspect, in the political aspect,
and about the alternates?
In the social aspect. And democracy for me is not just the voting every 4 years or every 5 years. In fact, what matters is what happens between the voting times. What happens in between the voting.
And it's linked to economic performance.
And that is where the economic involvement and participation. And because development is not in terms of GDP, it is in terms of the welfare and well-being of the citizen.
Your book quotes a Ghanaian proverb which says, "One head alone is not enough to decide."
Yes.
Tell us about your collaboration with Greg Mills.
That's exactly what we are saying. that one head alone is not enough to decide. Even our book is not one head, it's 4 heads.
Yes.
And
Greg Mills.
Greg Mills.
Who is the author and head of Johannesburg-based Brentford's Foundation.
Brentford's Foundation, which I'm the chairman of. And I myself.
Jeffrey Beatty as well.
And then Tendai Beatty used to be the
former finance minister in Zimbabwe.
I'm now the vice president of the opposition party. And Jeffrey is he spent most of his life
American Jewish University.
Yes, and spent most of his time in Africa as an academician. And so we have practical, theoretical, and public.
So it's because of your personal experience in diplomacy and most importantly in democratic transition that Nigeria has undertaken itself, even if you say that it's not working very well.
No, well, look, what I'm saying is that democracy is also not a destination, it's a journey. Now, we are making progress on that journey, but we are not moving fast and far enough.
That's why you decide to root this book right now regarding democracy.
Yes.
So the full package for democracy is leadership, strong institutions, cryptocurrency. What else?
And participation. Now, nobody should feel left out. It should be inclusive community and shared society, where everybody feels, yes, there's something in it for me. Nobody should feel that I'm being excluded. I'm not a stakeholder. Everybody must be that, yes, there's something in it.
Did you saw that African Union decide recently that Sudan will be not part of the institution?
Well, but we have always maintained that. In 1999, the last meeting of OAU in Algiers, we took the decision that any country that came up without, not on basis of constitution, will not be admitted into AU. And when we started establishing the OAU then, when we established AU, we put it in the Constitutive Act. That if you are not a government brought about by constitution, you will not be admitted. That's what has happened.
And let's have a look before the end of the interview to the acrylic portrait realized by Severine Dos Santos. It's you, and it is a gift. Yeah, and it's already the end. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you.